Does it say
It's
that?
going to say that. Don't worry about it. It's going to say that throughout the broadcast for all of us.
Spring break.
Forever.
All right. It should be live. Wait for this thing to pick up here. All right, that's a good sign. Looks like guys out there, have patience with this. I'm using a new software, so I want to make sure this thing is working smoothly. You guys can hear us okay, as I am using a new platform. But as you guys come into the chat, y'all know what the intro is. Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. We have the College Football Roundtable back on, the OGs of this channel, especially one Jonathan Tran. People have been asking for you nonstop, Jay Tran. So it's good to have you back on the show. People don't even know what you've been up to. Hopefully we can have you give a little, sneak peek into your life over the last few months. But the whole crew is here. Billy, BA, everybody. We're just a few more weeks before the season starts, and couldn't think of a better time for us to get together as a gang and break all this down, talk a little ball with each other how we normally do. And like I said before, those of you who are out there listening, commenting, subscribing, make sure you hit that like button. That's how we take attendance on this channel. Tran, welcome back, brother. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. How you doing? So, what's so what is everyone asking about me?
Are you still on the channel? Are we still friends?
So the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is, Steven is like the Ellen DeGeneres of YouTube. He beats us. He treats us terrible. He says I can't read good. No, seriously, I am so very busy. A lot of the time. I mean, Brandon's with me half the time. So my son's in select football. He's in select baseball. My daughter's in gymnastics. I'm in school still. I have a full-time job. It's just hard. Like, Steven's still got to put out stuff for y'all. So I just tell him, like, when I can jump on, I will be there. I will be there. Send out the bat signal. I'll try to schedule it to be there. Make sure I'm there. So honestly, I'm so happy that football's here again. I just have. I mean, it doesn't seem like football has really left, and Brandon can attest to that. We've been handling it for a while, but like getting to sit back and possibly relax and see our teams play and hopefully ball out, because I do feel like all three of our teams on this channel right here have a chance to do something special this year. I can't hear you.
All right, I was making sure I was.
Yeah, I was like, I can't hear you. I was like, oh shit, I lost something.
That's on me.
That's on me. I ain't gonna say it.
That's on me. I took a drink of my protein shake and then hit mute so y'all wouldn't hear me like drinking, and then rookie mistake. Look, we're getting the cobwebs out right now. Anyway, for those of you who could read lips very well out there, I was actually going over to BA and saying, we all feel really good about, I think right now we all feel pretty good about where our teams are, what the expectations are, what the assignment is heading into this 2023 season. And fellas, I want to kind of, as we get into kind of, a little bit of background about our teams, but understanding, this is the last season in the Big 12 for Texas, and this is the last season the SEC looks the way it does for you guys as well, right? As we come in, as OU comes in, and just what that looks like. Do you have? I mean, I feel like in Billy's case, LSU is one of the premier teams that's being heavily favored and picked. Some to make the college football playoffs. A lot of people feel good about LSU winning the SEC, right? And so is this the year to take advantage of that? Because we know what the gauntlet looks like in 2024. And I want to get y'all's thoughts on that as well. But BA, I'll pass it over to you, brother. How are you feeling? There's a lot of scuttlebutt in the world right now about Jimbo Fisher and is he going to allow Bobby Petrino to run that offense? Is Texas A&M going to be in 2023 offensively? And you know what I mean by that, my brother.
Man, I'm not even going to get into all that. We know you hire Bobby Petrino to come in and do a job. If you're not going to let him do the job, why hire him in the first place? You know what his reputation is. I remember when the hire was first announced, the Arkansas faithful, they're like, wow, that's a good hire. Like, we saw what he did with multiple, different types of football teams at Arkansas, and the numbers he was able to put up. I don't think he was ever outside of the top 6 offensively when he was there. So he's coming in and doing a job. Overall, I'm excited, but I'm very hesitant for obvious reasons. Defense was top 25 last year in points against, even ahead of Texas. But when you have one of the worst offenses in America, it doesn't even matter. So, that's what he's hired to fix. So we'll see. The pieces are there. From what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, there's a lot to be excited about. But as I've been telling people since spring, talk to me in November. We'll know then.
Billy, what's your assessment on A&M? I mean, that's somebody who you guys have monitored closely. They did defeat you guys last year, and as you look to try to take on the SEC West, A&M is in the way. So what's your take on that program going into this season?
I mean, I think obviously they're going to be a lot better than last year. We know that, okay? Well, they should. There's no reason not to, and I believe they will. That's the first thing. They're going to be better. The key is, can you get the offense clicking? Because no matter what, it's a first-year coordinator, the new quarterback, you're right, in a new system. So no matter what, it's going to take some time because there's nothing like in-game action, right? Okay, so can you survive early on, and can you start ticking as the year goes on? I think that's always the key. Are you gradually getting better in all other aspects? I mean, I would, they're 9-3, 8-4. If you want me to give you just a quick, what I think they're made of right now, they got talent. Can they go farther than that? Absolutely. But there's some roadblocks. So we'll see how that all goes. But I think defensively, do we see a drop off? Second year without the guy, do we see a drop off? I don't think so. Just because I think they have the talent there and they seem to be developing it pretty well. And then in offense, do you have enough playmakers? Who's your running backs? Then you get Smith back. What's he looking like now? With your Stewart, who we know is top notch. They got talent, and the quarterback. He looked really promising late in the year. Looks like his growth was there. And let's be honest, if you got a quarterback, if you have some deficiencies other places, you can make up for them. So that's my quick rundown of A&M, what I see so far.
Let's touch on the quarterback piece first, because on the excitement side, I've heard really good things out of y'all's camp about Ruben Owens and already some of the flash there, what he can do as a running back and receiver in conjunction with the backs you already have. Mm-hmm. But why hasn't Connor Weigman, why isn't this outright his job? Why is it so close with Max Johnson? Yeah, especially considering the way Connor finished the season.
How long has Jimbo avoided the question of who's calling plays? He's been doing that since the spring. Also, I think, it is a little bit of a competition because Max isn't going to just lay down. He's a good ball player. And if it wasn't for a broken thumb, he probably leads us to a few more victories than what we had. I do think personally that it is Connor's team to lose at this point. But, Max is right there. From a running back perspective, yeah, Ruben Owens is true to form. He's coming in and he's making a great impression. But Le'Veon Moss is a guy that I'm high on personally. He's put on about 10 pounds of muscle. He's a hard runner. He doesn't go down on first contact. And I think, it might be more of a committee this year. I don't know if we're going to have, the Devon A chain that we had last year that just could tote it all when he's healthy. So it might be more of a committee, which I'm okay with because they all, Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens, they all bring something different. I think Ruben Owens is the best pass catcher out of the backfield and probably has the most natural instinct. Le'Veon, again, he's not going to go down by first contact. Amari Daniels gives you that floor to speed. He's very, very shifty, very quick. So I think when you look at Petrino and what he's done in previous offenses, he puts these, he's got the saying, feed the studs. And when you do that, you want to do that and put them in the best possible position to succeed. So I think he's going to give them all, touches that are favorable for what they do best, and we'll see how they make the most of the opportunities they're given.
You guys have a very interesting schedule, and as I'm looking at it here, you open with New Mexico, which is kind of the warm up, tune up, week, and then you go to Miami, a Miami team that you guys beat in College Station last year, and a Miami team where I really don't know what to expect from that group, to be honest with you.
The hype machine. That's the hype machine every year. Just go ahead and mark it down. You already know Miami will be top 15, top 20 every year, and they'll finish 6-6. Just go ahead and book it.
Trent, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up because the coaches poll came out today. Can you pull up? Yeah, the coaches poll came out today. Can you pull that up? I actually don't have that in front of me right now. I know Texas was 12th. That's what I looked at, and then I went on about my day. Who's 5? LSU's 5?
I mean, I didn't realize it dropped today. That shows you how out of touch I am.
A&M was 25. Yeah. I know that.
Why?
Yeah, I saw that.
A&M was 20. Yeah, A&M was 25. I'm just curious if Miami was anywhere.
Yeah, that's what around there. Getting at, just to see what Miami.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting.
They're not on. They're not in the top 25.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what happens with Mario Cristobal's group as he looks to try to build the U up. But regardless, a win over Miami is still a win in terms of notoriety and momentum.
And it's on the road too, right?
It's on the road. And it's on the road.
Yeah.
So. And it's on the road.
And I do think that's the benchmark of what we can expect from this A&M roster this year, at least early in the season. I don't think that you face the same teams early in the seasons as you do late. But I think early on, a good test is going to be in a hostile environment, a team that's, got something to prove themselves, playing with a chip on their shoulder. So we'll see what we do, on the road.
What's your takeaway though as you get into the SEC schedule? I think we've talked offline, the four of us. I think are you at that 8 and what are you looking at? 8-4, 9-3? What's realistic for this group? Because I personally, looking at your roster, feel like you're a year away from the year. Like I feel like 2024 is like when you're really, really expecting everything to come together because of how young you guys still are. But you obviously want to have that uptick from a 5-7 season. So where's your expectation fall?
I mean, first of all, when you're talking about the 5-7 season, you got to think that we were in 5 of those games, 1 possession. That's a penalty. That's, 1 play, like 1 possession from winning those games. So we weren't too far. We were very young. We still are young, yes. But again,
brother, you're far away when you lose to App State at home. I'm sorry. I mean,
hey, that's a fact. Again, you have our offense was ranked like 90s. We were not very good offensively. We only scored over 24 points twice. Both games we won. That tells you something. I saw a crazy stat that when we score more than, I think it was 28 points, Jimbo's damn near undefeated. So that shows how bad we were offensively last year. So as long as the defense does not regress, I'm looking at least 9 wins because I think, having some tough teams at home favors us. But going on the road to Tennessee hurts. I think that's probably a loss. Going on the road to, there's one more game on the road that definitely worries me.
Ole Miss and LSU.
LSU going to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I saw Billy pointed to us right away.
Hey, but you know what? Last year, the first game that we saw where we played complementary football on offense and defense was what? LSU. And what did we do? We beat them by 2 possessions. We kept Jaden Daniels in the pocket, kept him from scrambling. We spied them. Basically, what they were doing with Harold Perkins against other teams with athletic QBs, we did to them. And on top of that, we literally just ran the ball down and throw with A-Chain. Like, it was complimentary football that we wanted to see all season, but, happened to be just that one game. So I think that, that's definitely something to be excited about. But, you look at the offensive line turnover we had last year. I think we had 8 or 9 guys start on the offensive line last year. Like, that's hard to overcome. Where Texas started the same, 5 guys for 9 or 10 games after the loss of the center, Angelon. That's just
we started the same 5 the whole season.
Right. So that's just hard things to overcome.
Season.
Now, what we did do is we got a lot of youth. We played more true freshmen, redshirt freshmen last year than anybody in the nation, in the SEC. And so I think that growth does help. We have players coming back. Billy mentioned Anaya Smith coming back. McKinley Jackson on the trenches coming back. All these seniors who could have went and had, possibly chances to get drafted coming back to help lead and develop the youth talent that we still have. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. But again, I need to see the product on the field. I need to see, what the offense actually looks like, because what you hear the players saying and what we're seeing are two different things. You look at the spring game, the players mentioned a lot of deception, a lot of it was quoted one of the receivers saying we're trolling the defense. But in the spring game, it's very bland, very vanilla. So what do we look like on offense? Because again, if our defense does not take a step back and our offense can improve, even to be a top 50 in the nation, I think that's easily 9 wins.
If you're not a top 50 offense with Jimbo Fisher, the amount of money that he makes and the reputation that he supposedly has, Bobby Petrino's in that room, and you consider the weapons we named, that's inexcusable to me. I mean, let's just be blunt here, right?
I look at 5-7 last year is inexcusable, but it happens. I mean, you play the game for a reason.
Oh yeah,
injuries.
I know.
I mean, we played 3 quarterbacks again, 8-9 offensive linemen. Even with all those injuries, it was still to me inexcusable to go 5-7. But it happens. That's why you play the game.
Well, fellas, where do y'all fall in Tran? What's your prediction record-wise for A&M? Are you kind of in the same boat as these guys, or what's your thoughts?
I think honestly, I think they're talented enough to win 9 to 10 games. I do see them falling probably around the 8 to 9 wins, the 9 being the bowl game. I think that they're going to take the next step a little bit. I mean, it was like, I think their non-conference schedule is very manageable. So I feel like that should be 3 right there. And then I know they'll split one of the Mississippi teams. Definitely.
Agree.
So they'll split one of the Mississippi teams. Then I think they'll split one of the away games of LSU or Tennessee. And then they just got to find a way to win 2 more games. So
I don't know if we'll split the LSU or Tennessee. Those are hostile environments with good teams.
But and this is of course suggesting that everyone stays healthy.
Right. Yeah, well, that goes. I think we all can agree with that.
Yeah, because if people go down, it's not necessarily a built-in excuse, but it is a true excuse. So,
I mean, again, 3 quarterbacks, 8 offensive linemen at least. I think it was 9 because I think Cam came in the last 1 or 2 games due to injury. But to me, that was still inexcusable for us to go 5-7. Next man up. I mean, hell, Ohio State won an Natty with their 3rd-string QB.
Yes. Yes, my man 12 gauge. Shout out to Cardale Jones. I didn't know he would be talking about 12 gauge out here. That's awesome. Before we get to LSU, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. We're just getting the round the table before we get into everybody.
Real quick. The Cardale thing. Come on now. They had to beat 2 teams. The Big Ten had to beat 2 teams to get to the playoffs. A&M has to beat a lot more than 2 teams.
Again, they didn't make it is what I'm saying.
Man, that was that Ezekiel Elliott year, man, where he was Zeke was special boy, man.
Oh, Zeke went nuts in that game.
The Bama game?
Yeah, he went nuts.
Bama and against Oregon in the Natty. Man, Zeke was. I just reminiscing as a Cowboys fan over the days where he would run away from people and hurdle guys and had a 6-pack and all that. It's gone are the days. Anyway, getting off track. Billy, LSU. What's the ceiling for you guys? Is it Natty? Is it winning the SEC? Like, and then where should expectations fall? I feel like sky should be the limit for this roster with the combination of experience and kind of where you guys left off last year.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you win the SEC, you're gonna go play for the Natty, right? So like that's your hope.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's your goal every year, and I think that's where we're at. I mean, we won the SEC West last year in a weird year for like just a winner. But one of our losses was beginning of the year, first game of the year to Florida State on some fluke stuff. Then A&M, they tore us up.
Worst special teams game I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, terrible. Well, let's just say that guy no longer works for LSU. So it is what it is. But, I mean, it was bad all year. So something had to happen on that front. And so that'll change. We play Florida State to open the year. That's going to be a battle. They're really, really good. But we owe them. And I think that's probably what we're leaning on in practice, and our motivation is that, we know it's just going to be, we have a bunch of battles throughout the year. We know that. It's just, how do you navigate that? Do you go undefeated? Do I see this team going undefeated? No, I don't. But do I see them, at 10, 11 wins? Yeah, I see us in that range. I just think that there's, we're really good. And it's a lot of the same pieces as last year. And a lot of those pieces actually were true freshmen, considering that both the tackles started every game, or they might have missed one or two because they were hurt, but pretty much started every SEC game, the big games. They're back, as the tackles and the bookends, like they're going to get better, obviously. That's always, and then, you get Mason Smith back, who we talked a lot about heading into last year. He gets a sack in the opening drive or second drive of the Florida State game, does just a normal celebration just to kind of what anybody in the world would do.
That's a huge piece, though, to get back.
Oh, yeah.
Huge piece.
Oh, yeah. So,
Billy,
go ahead.
Billy, real quick, because I think we kind of need to pay. The Florida State game is going to tell us a lot. That's one of those games where it's like, LSU Florida State's got to be the biggest game of week one for all of college football, right? It was the best game last year in week one, without a doubt. Unfortunately, like you said, all the chicanery happened. A lot happened in that game. Penalties.
Crazy game, bro.
Crazy game. Florida State, I'm a big fan of the Pick Six magazine preview and Brent Cianica and those guys. That they do a great job. I probably butchered his last name, but I know he picked Florida State to make the college football playoff this year. You can make an argument between Jared Verse as well as Jordan Travis. Florida State has two of the top 10 players in the country on their roster, offense and defense, and obviously the job that's been done there. They're right there with Clemson neck and neck for the ACC. I feel like, depending on who you like, right? That Florida State game, though, if you guys are able, the momentum, if you guys are able to right the wrong from last year, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit. But that's a huge game, huge game.
I think that in that game, it's one of those games that, like, it's going to be much more difficult if LSU loses that game to make a run to the national championship. I do believe that if Florida State loses that game, they're still fine because they can win out. And if you win out, then you're back, because you're the first loss of the year at the first game. Like, that matters. You lose that early and then you keep winning, it matters. And so they can respond back there. I just feel like we're going to play that game with a little bit of revenge on our mind for obvious reasons, as we discussed. So, we'll have to go to Alabama. I mean, that's going to be, as we know, a tough game, and they're going to want revenge on us. So, they gotta, we got them last year. They're going to want a piece. Okay. So, but we know that. I mean, listen, we're prepared. I think that our team's prepared. I think we have a good team. You know, the bottom line is you got to go win the games. You know, we'll play A&M at the end of the year. I just think it's one of those things with this, you know, that's a revenge game too for us at home. And depending on what's going on, Brian Kelly's going to make them very aware of how they went lackadaisical last year against A&M because nothing really could have happened. You know, they played late, like they kicked our butt, like they put it in us, okay? And so, like, he will be all over.
I just think we hit you in the mouth and you weren't expecting it.
100%. 100%. And so,
but correct me if I'm wrong. At the point you played A&M, did you already know y'all were going to the SEC championship game?
Yeah,
yeah.
Are you building in excuses there, Steve?
No, I'm not. I'm not an LSU fan. I'm just asking a question, Brandon.
I was asking.
No,
we can continue.
Okay, and so, you know, we'll face them, and you know, offline like we talked about. We got something for them too. After that embarrassment, so.
That's why I said, let's talk in November. Let's see how we're looking then.
They embarrassed.
Billy, what are you cooking for Thanksgiving weekend for that game?
I'm gonna try to be at the game. That's the first thing, depending on the situation. We usually go to the A&M games, just depending on what's going on with kids and stuff. But that's the number one goal. If not, I will have fried a turkey on Thanksgiving Day and still have some leftovers rolling. You know that the turkey out the fridge, because you can't beat it, buddy. You can't beat it.
So I have Billy, two things where you cross paths. There's one thing where we all cross paths, which is Alabama, right?
Correct.
All of our teams play Alabama. That's the real big common opponent. Correct. I don't think there's anybody else that's common across all of us. And then Billy, I'll start with this. Colin Simmons. Colin Simmons is essentially down to Texas and LSU. He is and for those who, you know, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know who Colin Simmons is, he's a 5-star edge out of Duncanville, the state champion Duncanville Panthers. And he is a phenomenal defensive talent. Somebody who is versatile and has high a motor and just sheer will as anybody you'll see play in high school football today. And is, you know, one of the top 5 players in all of high school in terms of whatever recruiting rankings you want to follow. There's been a lot said about from Texas fans. Tran knows how badly we I don't remember the last time we got an elite edge in recruiting. I'm just going to be honest.
We need him. You want him. That's the difference. We need him. You want him.
We need him.
We need him. You want him.
We need him too. We need him too. We need him too.
So
don't try to.
From an LSU standpoint, how have y'all stuck around in this? Because I mean, not even stuck around, but arguably have the lead, depending on who you ask, right? Because you guys have your defensive line coach is out sick right now. The other half of his recruitment, Jamar Cain goes to the Denver Broncos. And yet that relation, talk to me about, from an LSU perspective, why Colin Simmons has been a preferred recruit for Brian Kelly and his staff.
Well, I think that, first of all, they understand, before we came online, the focus of the front seven and the significance of having playmakers that you can move around the field. Okay. Saw that last year with Perkins, and you're going to see, someone that coming in like him, what we can do there, and just the instant impact that we can, ease them along, but also give them big opportunities without putting them in situations to fail. Because I do think that's pertinent. It can hurt your development. Some people, it doesn't matter. They're built differently, but that's about 0.01 percentile. So it matters to everybody. So you can't look at it like that. And I think we're in that situation. Also, just LSU as a whole, we got a lot of lightning going on right now. A lot of thunder and lightning with our sports world. There's a lot of pieces that are moving in. Just won a natty in baseball. I know you Texas folks and them folks don't want to talk about that, but that happened too. And so just that energy that's going on is hot at LSU right now. And it really is. We just went to the SEC championship. So like it's on the field too, So like, and I think that Brian Kelly, his understanding of like development and the human being aspect of it from everything I've seen is like top notch, bro. And so like, it's impressive to me. And I'm all about the human being. Like, that's just who I am of like, hey, it doesn't matter. A team aspect, you got to have a bunch of dudes on the same team and they better be like rooting for each other and working hard together. Because if not, in the long run, it'll show its ugly face, no matter what. Okay. And so that's just kind of where I think we are. Not to mention, I got the airboat out this week and I went to Duncanville. We're bringing a couple of them down here on August 10th. So just get ready. You know what I'm saying? August 10th, a couple of them are coming.
It's going to break down again.
Billy. All those are good reasons, but the real reason why is Olivia Dunn was showing him around campus. That's the real reason. Don't get it twisted.
We said that. We were like, we're done.
Hey,
don't get it twisted. That's the real reason.
I ain't even mad at it.
Oh yeah,
and I get it.
Oh yeah. Steve was like, "Man, we're toast, bro." Threw his hands up. He was like, "How are we supposed to counter this?" So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of smoke. That's what I mean. The girls' basketball team, like it is, our girls are in rap video. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of smoke and lightning and thunder and winning. Like it kind of feels like
winning.
Yeah, you got to win with all that. And it kind of feels like, we've caught this lightning in a bottle in the recent years where we go and like we win in multiple sports. And it feels like that's where we're headed, whatever that means. So
it's going to be interesting. Here's how just my 2 cents on it. I'm not saying who, obviously I want him to pick Texas on August 10th. I think if he decides to commit to LSU on August 10th, I'm not going to say it's over. I think this is somebody who will be recruited through signing day at the end of December.
Absolutely.
And we've seen Texas have success before. We saw last year with Anthony Hill and Colton Bassick from Texas A&M and OU respectively. The difference, though, is those teams were struggling when we flipped those guys, and we were kind of able to come in there and take advantage. I don't see LSU struggling more so from the fact of I think Texas is going to have to look really, really good. This is going to take us to the Texas part of the show, but I think Texas is going to have to look incredible.
One thing first, the Lamar Stevens had a point though. He is kind of a linebacker, so he's dealing more on the recruiting show with our linebacker coach and edge coach. Okay, not that he's not dealing with the D-line, let's be honest, but I thought it was a pretty good point what he said. So just kind of talk about that. Which, hey, you know what? I hope our D-line guy gets better, obviously. I mean, prayers up to him. That whole situation, like, as much as I love sports, that's not even on the same, stratosphere as his health. So let's make sure we get that in order. If we lose a player or two, I don't care about that. That's not important in the long run of life. But anyway, proceed. Sorry, I just wanted to comment on that.
We already went through that, and again, our condolences go out to the Texas A&M community, what they've already dealt with this offseason. Yeah. It's coaching, on a tangent as we talk life, and it's funny, Tran said this at the beginning about balancing and juggling so many things. That coaching grind is different on the body, on the spirit, on the mind. And managing things. So these coaches have to be very mindful of their health as well, and staying cognizant of these things. You see so many coaches have health issues seemingly sometimes out of nowhere, or that we weren't aware of, right? And in some cases, like the A&M case, that was cancer and things, but any health-related thing, this is a very stressful job on the body, on the spirit and everything. So we definitely wish the best for all these guys. Going into the Texas side of things, Tran, I know people have been waiting to kind of hear your thoughts, not just out of spring, but just in terms of where you fall expectation-wise for the season. And I feel as though you're kind of where our buddy out there who's serving I think is it Chad out there that's serving out there in the who told me he's not drinking Kool-Aid this year. He is waiting to see the product because he's been hurt too much. Is that where you fall, or talk to the people, Tran? Where are you at with Texas?
The truth of the matter is, the most I get for Texas sports, besides Fanatic Perspective, which and
Hit
the
the like
Lando
button.
show, and the Lando show, by the way, the things that I get are just like maybe scrolling through a news feed or something like that, and I'll see someone talk about someone who's doing well during spring practice, and that's great and all, but like what BA was saying is, I want to see it on the field. Let's see how, if it could be help maintained and it could be developed throughout the whole season, and then around November they're balling out and they're just studs. That's when I really want to see that. I know our offensive line. I know we have talent to be undefeated this year. We have the talent there. How are they going to progress off of last year? We're coming in working in new players. We lost a generational talent in Bijan Robinson, who is not only just a generational talent, he was a leader on the team, a vocal leader, which is huge. But and we are breaking in some new people on key positions on the defense in the defense. So there's certain things that I just want to see on the field. I watched the spring game. Spring game means jack shit to me, to tell you the truth, because it's like, all right, let's throw a couple seam routes or a couple go routes, and then let's throw a wheel route to the running back. It doesn't mean anything to me. So I want to see us come out the gate, first game of the year against Rice, smack them in the face like old school Texas, beat them by halftime, where we're seeing the other people get in right away, get some playing time, because playing time against other team is extremely important for the backups, because injuries do happen, like we've discussed. And
Amen.
In games like that, we need those young men to get that experience. Then the real test is going to Alabama and seeing how they play. So week 2 is where I want to see them learn year over year, because we were dotting them up. Honestly, the first half, Quinn was tearing them apart. He was dissecting them. He was playing phenomenal football. And stuff that I have been reading through the titles is that Quinn, ever since he shaved his head, he's balling out. So, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. But if the mullet was holding him back, whatever. He should have cut it last year. I don't know what to tell you, but
I think it's experience, right? I mean, he was a freshman that had just transferred into the program, had no time in an AP level system that is Steve Sarkisian's offense, and I think there's a lot of maturation that's happened with Quinn. He's got a girlfriend now, so the man's in a committed relationship.
So he's stupid.
The man has a nutritionist now.
No comment.
He's stable. That's what he's saying. He's stable.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, but
I've missed you.
No, I mean, I hope he has. You and I sat down last year and we broke down some film, and we were saying some of those passes are better than some NFL players right now. Like the timing routes that he was throwing. And I mean, I want to see him. I want to see him develop into that great player, because I really would like to see him leave next year and leave the room healthy and ready to go. We have Malik Murphy and also Arch Manning right there in the wings. Let them get that year of development like he did. Like I said, beat the crap out of the teams that you beat the crap out of. Get those others in just to get them some experience, because they had with that red shirt rule, you play 4 games? I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
4 games.
Let them get in there, and you could still redshirt them. So I mean, that's why it's so important for us to jump on teams right away. Don't play down to people's to other teams' level. Dominate, but if everything comes together, I honestly could see us be a 10-win team. I know there's going to be stumbles throughout the season. I think you have to go back to like 2014 in the Big 12 to have an undefeated Big 12 team that won the. I think it was OU in 2014. Someone can fact check me, but or maybe I just maybe throwing out some random numbers, but whatever. It really was a long time ago.
But whatever.
And by the way, we got 130. We have 137 people in here. So you guys, as you're in here, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. Helps us grow the platform and share with a friend. Before I get BA's and Billy's thoughts, because I know they have some questions for us about Texas. I made a video the other day. This was actually last week. Guys, go check it out if you haven't, where I essentially said that they need to win the Big 12 this year. I stated my reasons in that video. That is based upon what I've been seeing, what I've heard, and everything that the recipe or part of the recipe, the ingredients that you need to be a championship football team, at least on the conference level. I believe Texas has those ingredients. My question is the head coach. I've been very, very clear about this. The question I have is the head coach. Is the head coach able to navigate this team and hit the certain switches that are there to get them over the hump when they face some of those, when they go into some of those road bumps? Because this is the deepest roster Texas has had since 2009, without question. The things we're hearing today from Sark's mouth about Jonte Cook, who's like our you could say he's wide receiver 4 or 5 right now, and Jonte Cook looks like Xavier Worthy did in 2020. That's how good he's been. And I knew that, you know, I watched him at DeSoto, and he's also a guy that won a state championship. But the amount of weapons, the amount of depth, the amount of depth on the offensive line, our offensive line coach, as well as offensive coordinator Kyle Flood, telling us that we have 8 guys that are playing at a starter level on the offensive line. There is no more excuses for Texas as far as I'm concerned, especially when you look at the schedule. And that's aside from Bama. And I think we all need to touch on Bama, since we're all that's a common opponent for us. But that's where my expectations lie, and that's what I'm holding Texas to. Billy, BA, whichever one of you wants to jump in terms of questions or thoughts you have on Texas.
Go ahead, BA. You can have it.
I mean, you want to talk about A&M's schedule lining up next year. I think your schedule lines up perfectly for you this year. You have a veteran team. To your point, you're very deep. You look at the losses across the Big 12, and they're pretty substantial. I mean, when you look at your schedule, I don't see anyone really that's a threat. You don't lead the state of Texas but twice all season. Like, it's a very favorable schedule up and down. Do I think you drop a game or two? Sure. But does that keep you from getting to the goal of winning a Big 12? No. I mean, we've seen that in this type of climate in the Big 12, you can lose a couple of games, make it to the Big 12 championship, and still win it. So I think it's very within reason. I also think you need to have that momentum going into the SEC because, you know, looking ahead, which I know, you know, everyone who's played before, it's almost a cardinal sin. Some of you don't do, but as a fan looking ahead, it's going to be, you know, a wake-up call next year, having to face Georgia and Bama and all those guys. So I think you need that momentum from winning the Big 12 in your final year in that conference to propel you to the next chapter of Texas football. Do you do it? I mean, to be determined. Again, you have the pieces in place. You have, I think, you know, by far the most talented roster in the Big 12, and I don't even think that's close. And I agree with you on the coaching because right now there are a couple of coaches I would take as a player or a former player over Steve Sarkisian, and that's being a player. Now, I'm not saying that they're better at him X's and O's, but I think that, you know, there's a couple of coaches in your division that those players will play above their ceilings because of what the coaches can do for them.
That's fair. And shout out to my buddy Jay from Unfair Sports in here. A few things about Jay. Unfair Sports just went over 10,000 subscribers. And Jay is also my business partner on the SEC Connect. So you can find us on 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights on the SEC Connect. Jay and I are spitting our opinions, and you know, Jay he has his thoughts about his Oklahoma Sooners over there, and some of the things they're doing. So you guys go check out and subscribe to the channel. To the question
Steve, y'all got an SEC Connect and you ain't got nobody in the SEC on the damn channel?
Hey. We have a Bama fan on there.
Okay. I'm just saying. I was just curious.
Hey.
Oh, you're not even in the SEC Cup. You're not in
there
yet.
I think we are.
You're not in there yet.
No, hey,
we were at media day.
Come on now.
No, you're not, sir. No, you're not.
We were at media day, right?
Next year.
What'd you say? You said you for a Big 12 championship or an SEC championship this year?
Yeah, we're not in the
next year. Next year, the SEC media days in Dallas. So y'all had to, Daddy's home. Had to roll out the red carpet.
Hey, to interrupt your bickering,
right.
It was 2016 was the last undefeated conference. Crap reporting.
Oh goodness.
That's awesome.
I'm not even going to address that whole media day stuff, Steve.
I'll say this. I think that
I'm just joshing you, but yeah, I'm just joshing you, brother. Just joshing. Go ahead, Billy.
We'll be there on media day. Don't worry about us. We'll be there. Okay. Right. In Jerry's world. We love playing in Jerry's world, matter of fact. You didn't know that. Texas, I think they are talented than they've been, especially inside, which I think has always kind of been their weakness in the long haul. It's why they kind of, will lose games that you're not supposed to lose, essentially. The question I still believe is, are they going to know how to work hard for 48 minutes, for the entire game? Are you working hard the entire game? Is you going to sustain that intensity? And I think that's where they've had their lows is I don't think the entire game, the intensity is sustained. And so they give up some touchdowns here, or they make something. And next thing you know, you're in a battle and Texas Tech comes back and beats you. Just weird, things like that. I see you being able to do that better this year. I truly believe that. I think that it seems like it should be. Do I think you have an undefeated roster like Tran said as I was sitting here shaking my head? No, I don't think you have that. Doesn't mean you cannot go undefeated. But I just don't think that's it. I also think you're in a situation like Florida State that if you lose to Alabama so early in the year and you run the rest of the table, guess what? That loss in the long run is not going to hurt you. Now, do I think it's big for the program and for your momentum to go over there and win that game? Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We know that, right? But if you go over there and they got and it's a, like last year where it's, hey, these two teams belong, and you're showing that, can't get mad at that either. Okay. I think that's what you want to see. You don't want to go there after the tight game here and get blown out. Because then you're like, oh, goodness gracious, here we go. This is the same riddle, right? The same riddle again. But if you go down there and you give you a battle and maybe they sneak out with a field goal win or something like that, no big deal. There's nothing to, I think that's the thing is sustaining the process, understanding the process is it's 12 games, 13 games, keep going. Because I don't see a reason you're not in the Big 12 championship. I'd be if that doesn't happen, well, this discussion we're having in December, like we usually do, it'll probably be for something about a job search that potentially could happen if things go off the rails. Okay. And I think we can agree that there's a chance that could happen. Okay. I don't think it's going to happen. The question is, are you a 9-3 team? 9-3, I think, is where you're at, or are you a 10-2, 11-1 team? Do you go 8-4? Because if you go 8-4, you didn't take the step forward like you need to. Like we talked about the progression with Sark from day one, right? Keep getting better, keep progressing. So but I don't see that happening. I see 9-3, 10-2, 11-1, somewhere in there. Probably 10-2 would what I would hang my hat on. I do think your quarterback is matured. It has nothing to do with the hair. That's just me cutting up. But after a little while, you do got to cut that because it wasn't, cool to knock around on something for a little while, but you change is okay. And so, he's matured, right? He had more time in the college system. He's played, all those things matter. And as we talked about with Brandon and ourselves, is quarterback position needs to be a leader, and they need to take care of their business because if they do, you're going to win a lot of games. and that's really that simple. I mean,
I think to that point too, one of the reasons you've heard a lot of hype come out of Texas practices, at least the first 4 practices, and this isn't just from the media. This is the coaches, right, that are saying how locked in these guys have been and how well they've executed. I think that starts when your quarterback is playing his best football in practice. It helps elevate the rest of the group. When the quarterback is executing in practice, that gives my defense the best look possible. That gives everybody up, my receivers are able to actually, it's frustrating when you're going ham in practice, but the quarterback's off, or there's a quarterback battle and they're struggling and you're not really on the same page. It kind of slows down everybody else, and your defense isn't getting that good look that they should be getting. I feel like now we're seeing that with how glowing they've been, of how well they've been performing. I haven't heard stuff like this before. I'm used to, as a Texas fan, hearing up and down reports with quarterback play, and we've heard glowing reports. And Quinn looks like the best player on our team, and Jalen Ford is leading the defense and super vocal and guiding guys. Like, these are things we just have not heard before. So that's why there's a sense of encouragement. Now, to the record piece, if they go 9-3, you're not getting Colin Simmons. That's number one. If there better be an excuse with injury or something, honestly. Like, there needs to be a story there. Because that's a little bit, I'm not saying you fire I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if it's 9-3, you're like, okay.
Well, let's see who the losses are
championship game.
Right.
Like, this is the first Texas team to get picked to win the Big 12 since 2009 by the media. Like, everybody and BA hit on this earlier. The rest of the conference, they've suffered massive losses. You guys are the most experienced team out there. And OU's projected to win 9.5. They have them at 9.5 wins because they're playing a JV schedule over there. Okay,
both of y'all are. Y'all ain't even leaving Texas, bro. But 2 times, come on, bro.
If Gabriel goes down, they don't win anywhere close. I mean, we saw that last year. They're so dependent on their quarterback play. If he gets hurt, they might get 6 wins.
But OU, I think the way their schedule's set up, I think they're actually going to be undefeated by the time we play them. I just don't see them. I personally don't see it. But my point is, from a Texas standpoint, I'm not saying Texas has to go undefeated. I'm not saying that. I'm accounting for, okay, you lose to Bama, whatever the Bama outcome is. That's TBD. I'm assuming the Big 12 refs are going to get one off of you. Okay, let's just. I'm assuming the Big 12 refs are going to get.
That's going to be uncomfortable.
They're going to get a lick. There.
There's going to be one.
The rest of it, I need to see consistent football, bro. I'm sorry. I've waited. I've been patient. That's why my brother Tran is here. Just a broken man as a Texas fan. Because we
won't even talk about it. He won't even talk about it.
Out. Bruh, we've seen these dudes come out. Let's put it this way: Kansas State won the conference last year, right? We were up in Manhattan, 31-10.
Yeah,
on Kansas State. Half these teams that are going wherever they're going, we were beating the shit out of them. Like, you watch some of these games, and it's like, oh wow, for 2.5 quarters, Texas looks unbelievable. And then, to Billy's point, the lull happens. We either lose focus, the coach doesn't make adjustments, we run out of gas, we lose time possession, we don't get turned. Like, something happens, and all of a sudden, we're needing this miraculous fumble from Coburn to close that game. I'm done with that type of football. I'm sorry. We got to see a progression in terms of our mental, because we've seen Xavier Worthy step off on people. I've seen that. I've seen this offensive line play together a whole season for 12 games, and all of them started the whole time. Quinn Ewers got a lot of snaps and experience last year. There's no more excuses. Jalen Ford was an All-American last year. Janae Barron should be competing for All-American honors. How many other teams in the Big 12 can say that many names at that many different spots across both their offense and defense? I'll wait. It's on Sark. And if he's who we think he is in the good sense, then we should expect this. We should expect for them to finally come home. All I'm saying is coach up to the talent of your roster that you have, that you've been given. Or not that you've been given, that you put together. Let me give him credit. Sark put this roster together. And Sark has been rebuilding this culture. But the most important thing as a coach is, can you win? Are you a winner? To me, do you win? Do you have a winning culture? And that's TBD. I want to talk about Alabama because we all play them. BA, is the fall of Nick Saban happening, or I feel like you? I feel like you think you're gonna catch Bama this year.
Am I going to say the fall of Nick Saban is happening? Absolutely not. Not until I see it. There's no way I'm going to bet against.
He's like, you're not going to catch me on camera saying that. Come on,
right?
Nah.
Come on now.
Too many folks
I was born that night, but not last night. I think that's the term. But I will say that we catch them. We catch them in College Station this year, and we're hearing more about who's going to play quarterback for them. We saw last year in Alabama, we were 2 yards away from beating them with Milrose? Is that what it is? 2 yards away.
Yeah, Milrose played against well. Yeah.
That was a terrible, call on that particular play. Just my personal opinion, but that was in their house. This time they're coming to College Station, and last time they were in College Station, we beat them. We're again 2 yards away from having a winning streak against them. I don't think this is a Bama team that we're accustomed to. I don't think, I think their over-under's 10 and a half, something like that. I'd probably take the under. Honestly, I think that they lose to y'all. I think that they lose to y'all. I think that they, split between LSU and A&M. Who's who? I don't know. I just don't know at this point. We know what they're going to do. They're going to come out, run smash mouth football and play bend but don't break defense. And you got to beat them. They're not going to make mistakes. That's what they're putting together, bringing in the DC, the former DC. Bringing in Reese as OC, we see what they're going to do. So I don't think they're not going to my surprise anybody from what they're doing. It's just, hey, they're going to play fundamentally sound football, offensively and defensively. They have hog mollies up front on the O-line. They're just going to lean on you all day. How do you respond? Do you catch them slipping? Do you catch them in a mistake? Do you cause them to make a mistake? I think that's more likely to happen on the road than it is at home. Because that's just the nature of college football. So, that's why I kind of give us a slight lean there. I know, FPI and all that stuff doesn't have us, but, who had TCU going to the playoffs last year? So all that's for naught, in my opinion, until we play the game.
To the point about smash mouth football, they are really kind of going back to their mid-2010 roots.
Yeah.
Moving away from Pete Golding and obviously B.O.B., who many people had angst with. And if not for Bryce Young kind of making his system look digestible, we don't know what Bama would have looked like, right? But getting back to the run game, the way they've recruited and really kind of put their offensive line together, they think and their O-line coach too. They've upgraded the O-line coach. They've gotten Tommy Reese in there, pro style. We'll see what they do with Milrose. I think Milrose is going to be the guy potentially over Ty Simpson, but don't sleep on Tyler Buckner. The thing is with Milrose, he gives you the one elite trait in that room we know for sure is his legs. To be honest with you, his legs are elite, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be who makes the right decisions, who doesn't turn the ball over. Y'all know what it is, right? And who's good on third down. But they got two dynamic freshmen. They got Caleb Downs on defense, and they got Justice Haynes on offense. And those guys are NFL guys on both sides, for those who don't know.
Especially Downs.
Oh, my goodness. They're ready now. And Justice Haynes looks like Mark Ingram did a few years ago. The resemblance is uncanny. And I don't know if y'all seen the pictures of Jace McClellan, and he's looking like Karen texted me and said Nick got him back on the anabolics. I don't know, but he was looking different. He was looking
like Hulk Hogan. Got a lot bigger. Chiseled and bigger.
So
not usually the case. Don't usually get bigger and chiseled. That's not really possible with a body.
Oh, hey. Who was the OU DB who did that last year? That came back looking ripped.
Bowman.
Yeah.
Shout out to Billy Bowman. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Bama team, because simple might be the most direct way for this group. I'm not sleeping on St. Nick. I feel like the chatter that has happened this offseason and how much drama he's been involved with Jimbo and all these other things, and him talking about NIL and acting like he ain't playing the game himself, acting like he ain't been running the game.
He ran it for years.
It's funny, right?
Years.
Hey.
That's why the guys got like 20 dealerships. Why do you think they all got? They all had charges. That's why they went there. I mean, it's not a secret. You get a discharger. You get that charger. You get this charger. Which one? What color you want? Oh, blue. Okay, got you. Come on. Don't think that's not true.
Be the same way. Get up there and talk about, we have a problem in college football with all these guys. What Nick said.
Trey mentioned the back signal earlier. He's just putting out the back signal for those boosters to come and give him some more money. That's all he's doing with that.
Yeah, that's right, B. That's right, B.
Yeah. That's all.
No, I actually think it's a mindset thing. Not only did they want to get back to the old school, I actually think that playing, in practice against an offense that grinds on you like their offense is going to do, their defense is going to get better. If you notice, their defense the last couple of years is kind of, considering the Alabama defense we're talking about here, has slipped. I mean, and so now, with them at least, I think it's a mindset to a degree, right? Can you mask, maybe your lack of offensive ability? Yeah, you can, if your defense is top notch, right? And so I think that's what he saw, is like, man, our defense is losing our steam because, in practice we're going freelance and all over it. Like, we need our fundamentals back, I guess, of physicality. And so I think that played a piece in it, and not to mention that they don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So
yeah, well, what you just said is like it's a trade-off essentially. It's like they went from a up-tempo offense, and they started noticing that their defensive statistics are going down, because guess what? The more plays you do on offense, the quicker you score or the quicker you punt. That means the more time the defense is on the field over the course of a 60-minute game. That wears on athletes. And you saw it in their defensive backs. I mean, they get so much praise on how well their defensive backs are coached. They are very grabby. Watch the tape. They are grabbing jerseys left and right, and that's the first sign of like, oh, he's got me beat. I gotta do something to slow him down a little bit. It's the first thing that they do. So I mean,
Kool-Aid freaking tackled Jatavian Sanders in the end zone last year. We didn't get a whistle.
No, that was awesome. That was just so bad. It was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bad. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's just like, oh, this is incredible.
I am upset at the disrespect.
Yeah, like, you're just an idiot. Like, this is terrible. Well, they do that though. That's what they like, and that's smart. It's like, hey, it's almost like some of these refs are afraid to call it. I mean, they were not holding back.
It was Big 12 refs.
Yeah, and they started calling it. They started calling it pretty a lot better than usual. But that's what they do. They're like, let's see if these refs really have, they're going to do their job because we're Alabama. And I think it's a method to the madness, really. And so, with them not being necessarily the same unit, we saw it kind of, hurt them last year. Let's see what it does this year. So
that's for me for Bama. The test for me for Bama to know to really grade if this whole experiment, Kevin Steele's very respected. We know what he did at Auburn and what he's done in the SEC, and obviously it's still Nick Saban's blueprint. Nick's going to get back to his fundamentals, especially with the secondary. The test is going to be Tennessee, because Tennessee was the ones to Tran's point that ran them out. That they literally turned into a track meet. and you weren't grabbing, all the brothers out. They were running away from this.
Hey, Jalen Hyatt might be the fastest receiver in the NFL now, and he was there last year.
Oh my God, that was
all
bad.
those dudes last year were big, and they got still a couple. I mean, the dude y'all had, Brew McCoy, he looks like a giant. Like they were all like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", like every single one of them. Fast too. Like you can't stop that. They beat up on us too. So
the thing though is that Georgia shut that down. And it's really interesting because Kirby Smart kind of comes from that same kind of pillage, and we know his background. And I think he was able to find success, and he kind of implemented a lot of the same tactics that he used to slow down Tennessee. He actually implemented those tactics in the national championship game against TCU that was trying to do some of the same things and had a lot of success with it. So I'm curious if that's what Nick Saban used to do when they faced those type of teams. And recently, whether it's even Ole Miss, like Hugh Freeze is back in the SEC. We saw what Hugh Freeze started doing to Nick before he got kicked out of Ole Miss, right? And now Josh Heupel's doing it to him. That's going to be because Texas doesn't play football like that. We're going to run the ball 50% of the time. We're not out there doing bear and shoot 10 personnel. Let's go.
We
don't play football like that.
Looking up that stat on the Big 12 thing is like I read a real clip that said that they're thinking about going 5 wide on certain. I mean,
Sark might do it.
I would like maybe. That. We have the receivers for it. That's the thing.
I know we have the receivers.
You start getting beat upside in the middle, and they start penetrating. I mean,
I'm not. I know we're talking about Alabama, but I would still like to see.
Oh, there's definitely plays in the game where I think that it's absolutely, you want to put that personnel in, but I don't think it's something. I mean, you never know though. It's pace of play in a game. I mean, but I would say overall going into it, that wouldn't be my game plan, obviously. But you don't, because then I think it's like you get into a situation where the interior of the D line is collapsing the interior of the offensive line. Not only is your pass game screwed, but now your run game is toast because they're not going to stop off.
Yeah, you got to feel out the game.
Right.
You got to
see how it goes. But I think
that's when it becomes the avalanche.
What Bama's been missing actually is that penetration from the inside. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been a lot of edge rushing, but they haven't had that penetration from the inside that they're used to. That's what
they had like 10 of them. They had like 10 of them for like 6-7 years in a row.
Quentin Williams and Ashawn Robinson and
the Reed brother, tons of them. Quentin Williams, he got the biggest contract in the NFL for D-line. Like they had every year they had 2 or 3 of them in that match. I mean, obviously
and that frees up the edge when you got to double team both inside techniques.
Yeah, you saw what Georgia's been doing with them big boys. Good Lord.
I think you guys nailed it. The biggest difference in the fall off, and when you emphasize what George has done on the interior with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, those are the guys that Bama used to have, whether it's, Deshaun Hand or Jonathan Allen and just all these dudes, a rotation and bevy of monsters. Right. And while they weren't bad interior last year, there was nobody that was like, oh my God, we got to double team him. Right. Or, oh my God, we got to have a special game plan. Because you saw that happen against TCU ultimately, right? In that game, Georgia, like Max Duggan, all the quarterback power was gone. Everything,
nothing. They didn't have anything in that.
Almost like they controlled the line with a 3-down line.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I think after like the 3rd possession, that's all they were doing.
It's a difference. All right, fellas. The last topic I wanted to discuss before we sign off here, and as I said, we got 150 in here. If we can get over 100 likes, I'd really appreciate it. We got 75 likes right now. Those of you who are tuned in, if you're watching on afterwards, again, this is what we love to do. We're just a bunch of friends talking ball. We are soon to be conference mates, although Billy and BA do not recognize us just yet. I'm going to bring up
recognize it. It's just you're not in the conference yet. It's not about you can't be recognized when you're not in the conference. It's not like that's a fact.
We had a flag and a station at Media Day.
But we did not have a voice at Media Day.
None.
Zero. Oh man. Let's bring up the 2024 schedule. Let me see if I can. Oh, actually, I already have it in here. Sorry, I'm learning how to, like I said, I'm learning how to use the software here. So hopefully you guys can see that. And let me know if you can't see this. But this is basically all the opponents. And we've gone through this in several different platforms. But I got to get everybody's thoughts on the gauntlet that is going to be 2024 before we sign off. Brandon, I'll start with you. What's what just general thoughts? What stands out to you? Do you feel like, because again, like I said, is in particular for A&M, I feel like 2024 is kind of the year for y'all. But just walk me through what you think overall about the schedule and what you like to see here.
I mean, obviously, the biggest thing I like about 2024, no Bama, no Georgia. So I think that puts us in a good position right there from an SEC perspective.
That's a fair statement.
That is not, playing those two teams in the same year is just tough. I mean, we've seen what they've done in recent history, so it's just giving credit where it's due. Like, they've earned that respect. So not having them, I think, definitely favors us. We'll also have pretty good experience at that point. I think, that 2022 class will be juniors at that point. So tons of experience, tons of, athleticism on the team, a great roster as long as we keep backfilling these players with, elite recruits or people who are buying into what we're doing. You talk about all the buy-in that you're hearing about Texas. I'm hearing the same thing about A&M. I mean, this is coming from the leaders on the team, the Bryce Andersons of the world, who are saying, hey, the vibe is just different. Like, people are bought in. We don't have the selfishness that we saw a little bit last season. So, if we're able to keep that momentum into 2024 when, compared to some of the others, we have a relatively easier conference schedule. I think, that's, playoff or bust, essentially, in my opinion. 2024, I've said it on Twitter. Your boys that slander you have called me out on it. If we don't make it to the playoffs with this class, it's a failure. We need to go in another direction. I still stand by that, and I think next year is when we actually make that jump.
Shout out to the fellas at Slander You podcast and the brothers over there. They did call out BA, but BA meant the whole duration of the class, not 1 year. Just for clarification.
I mean, it's just like you mentioned earlier with Quinn being young and not having the reps. It's like people expect these 22, coming straight from high school, playing in Power 5 and making a huge impact. That's just not how things work. You might have one or two, but as a whole class, no. Some of those guys got to develop. Look at Noah Thomas, 6'5" receiver who's, absolutely balling right now. He's got speed. He's reminding a lot of people of another former 6'5" receiver who's now in the NFL. So, I mean, some of these kids just need time to develop.
Stop. Ain't nobody like Mike Evans.
Did you think Mike Evans was Mike Evans until he became Mike Evans?
Well, no. I know, but I'm just
saying. That's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Nobody is
when
like
you have
Mike
a guy who's 6'5", who can control his body, who's out leaping people, like it's easy. It's an easy transition to say, oh, he reminds me of this guy. I agree. There's not a Mike Evans except for Mike Evans. That's why I didn't name him. But I'm saying when you mentioned, Tennessee's receivers being 6'4", 6'5", we have the same thing. We have 6'4". We brought in recruit Ja'Day Walker, 6'4". Noah Thomas, 6'5". Evan Stewart. You can't double team all of them. So it's just like, hey, what do we see? What's going to happen? But again, I've said it all throughout this channel. I need to see the product on the field, especially with this new OC. One thing I loved about Connor Wiggerman in his starts, he didn't turn over the ball. And I think if he has that same production and doesn't turn over the ball, like it's easy, 9-10 wins.
Oh, absolutely. If the ball security is there and he's still the playmaker, and just natural talent that he is, the sky's the limit. I mean, I have more questions about the coaches than I do about Connor, quite frankly.
Me too.
That's the That's the fascinating thing. I'll put the schedule back up. Billy, what are your thoughts when you look at 2024?
It's funny. It's actually a pretty cool schedule for us. We kick off the year against USC in Jerry's World. I mean, in Vegas, and no Caleb Williams. So that's always I'll take
Ooh.
that. Yeah, we play him in Vegas. Yeah, USC.
Billy, quick pause, because I did not know that you guys were playing at USC in your non-con. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. You're playing Notre Dame in yours, right?
And Notre Dame, yeah.
And we play Michigan.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's I just saying that out loud. LSU, USC, A&M, Notre Dame, Texas, Michigan. That's a hell of a. I mean, I know we've talked about realignment and how sad it's been to see these conferences get blown up. We're playing the violin right now. You guys just can't see us, for several of these teams. But those matchups in the non-con are pretty cool. But anyway, Billy, please.
We also play UCLA. We got their return trip to the Bayou. That'll be in the Bayou. And then we have Alabama, obviously, but that's at home. We got a pretty good schedule 2024 as well. Oklahoma at home, Ole Miss at home, Vanderbilt. I wish we played them on the road, but we don't. Obviously, we got to go to A&M because that's the return, and then to Florida. The last 3 games are where we're going to get. It's going to be tough. We go to Florida, to A&M, and to Arkansas. So I would say that's probably going to determine our year. Those 3 games, 2024, and you'll be getting the Nuss show by that moment.
Woo. Everybody's schedule to me. Everybody's schedule is just a gauntlet. Tran, who are you most excited to see come to Austin out of these? Actually, I already know the answer to this. It's got to be Florida for you, right?
Chomp, chomp, baby. Can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. Tebow screwed up my national championship by throwing a terrible, terrible corner route into the end zone in the SEC championship versus Alabama. Terrible. Rewatch that. It's one of the I think our 7U quarterback BA would throw a better corner route than what Tebow did. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Florida come down here. I mean, we got a great home schedule, to tell you the truth, for SEC play. Florida, Georgia, was it Kentucky and Ole Miss? Right? Is that what or is it Mississippi State? It's one of the Mississippi schools. I know that, right?
Say, what was the question?
I was I was asking which was it Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
Mississippi State for Texas?
Yeah, for Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, Mississippi State.
So yeah, our home schedule I'm really excited for.
Mississippi State, y'all, is always, just FYI, a very interesting program. They're never terrible.
Oh no, yeah. They're tough.
It's the fun. Yeah,
they're a tough team. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that's why I can't wait for y'all to join, because y'all are going to be playing these teams like the Mississippi States, and it's like, why can't we run the ball? And then realize they have 2 first-round D tackles on their
right. It's crazy. It's funny. You'd be like, wait a minute. Oh, well, Mississippi State also had 8 dudes go to the NFL. During that same time that Alabama had them. They had a bunch of D linemen too. It'll be fun. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I can't believe we play USC and UCLA in the same year. That's
crazy.
That's crazy, bro.
And they're moved to the Big Ten.
That's the thing with this. I know you said the sad people being sad about the conference. I don't give a shit about the conference realignment. Go be wherever you want to be, man. Go make your money, because we get non-conference games like that. It won't affect you if you lose one of those games, because of the way that the playoff shakes out.
I mean, it's going 12 teams, of course.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm all for it.
I don't care.
Yeah, you get played more. Right.
Right. I mean, play the big dogs.
I hope what happens is that teams like us, we go play at Cincinnati. Anyway, they will now because they're in the Big 12. But Memphis, now with 12 teams, people like us aren't. I don't want to say it's scared, but it's definitely a calculated, hey, we'll pass situation. Don't get it twisted. I think now with 12 teams, that's going to even open up more opportunities for those schools, I hope at least, to bring in, powerhouse schools to play a home and home with, because now with 12 teams, if you do go lose there, and you can rebound essentially. So I kind of hope that happens out of it.
And looking in the chat, I did not say Evan Stewart was 6'5". I said we have Noah Thomas, who's 6'5", Jade Walker, who's 6'4", along with Evan Stewart. All right. Evan Stewart is just a playmaker, which is funny too, because Anaya Smith made, first team or third team All SEC. Moose Muhammad made second team, and Evan Stewart didn't make anything. So that's how I feel about the preseason polls. They rank our second and third receivers and not our number one. But it is what it is.
Fran, I think let me bring up the coaches poll real quick, just while we have a few minutes here, if you don't mind.
I just want to know why all these Texas fans always try to go after my boy BA, man. I mean, y'all need to.
They don't know any better.
Y'all ain't played him in 10 years.
They don't know any better. It is what it is. We'll see. I mean, hey, when we get these, 5-star D linemen coming at them, they'll realize.
This is going to be so much fun though. Like all the Twitter smoke, all the social media smoke, it's going to be gone next year. Now we actually get to see it, right? Like
it will not be gone.
Well, no. I mean, gone in the sense of like,
it's gonna sit back.
Gone in the sense of like
hypothetical to the game.
Yeah. Like at least that's like Texas and OU, we can get out our system, right? Like if I want to OU, if I want them to leave the chat, we bring up 49-0, and we show them the picture of the half full stadium in the Cotton Bowl, and we move about our day, right? But that buildup is always leading towards a game. Like I'm gonna see their best players against my best players. Think about all the players A&M has had over the years. Like we never saw Johnny Manziel against Texas. Just full stop, right? Mike Evans against Texas. Like, we never saw those guys, right? And vice versa, right? So we're gonna see that now. There's no more ducking. There's no more hypotheticals or woulda, coulda, shouldas. And I think that's what it's been. Also, a lot of the younger people, many of you younger folks that are watching this channel, that some of y'all don't even remember what a Texas A&M game used to look like around Thanksgiving. That's sad. Some of y'all don't even remember the memories, what this rivalry means, especially being home and home. Well, so we're going to get that out of her.
They at least got an LSU Texas memory, though. You know what I'm saying? That's one good thing that happened out of all that. No, too far. My bad. It's late.
You guys are on the fast track to becoming the next rivals. By the way. You're lucky. You're lucky. A freaking pandemic happened in 2020 to where you avoided your ass whooping.
Why you want to bring up 2020? That's a terrible memory.
Yeah, Brandon got screwed worse than everybody. So
all SEC schedule 9-1, don't make a playoff.
Yeah, poor B, man. They took out
only
the
lost to
that.
What? Why you want to bring up 2020 like that?
My bad.
But
it will be fun. You caught a stray there, brother. I was trying to go after Billy, and you ended up getting hit.
Catching a stray. I'm just sitting here trying to enjoy it.
Also, Steve, is like we're in baseball. Our programs are high levels, and we kind of go at each other in baseball. So that's also a natural rivalry that's always been around. That's why I had to talk a little trash about baseball, because it's a big deal at Texas and LSU. And so, with BA and them, it's the best run they've had in a while in baseball, and they're not done making a run, because if they get old boy from Stanford, it looks like it's going to happen with a couple of those other guys, they're going to be good again, which I think is good. I mean, there's no reason everybody in the South shouldn't be good really at baseball and football if you really want to know. It looks like basketball, between the Big 12 and the SEC, that's where everybody's playing now anyway. So there's all that. So that's going to be fun as well.
I mean, hey, Schloss did amazing things at TCU, so definitely nice having him at A&M, and hopefully we can have the same type of magic he had there. better resources. I mean, they're renovating the field, Blue Bell again. So I mean, it's just again, need the product on the field.
Let's share my screen real quick before we dip. I'm gonna kind of put the spotlight on this. This is the coaches poll that came out. Just so you knew we weren't making up BS, BA. Okay.
Hey, I'm not the one throwing out random facts like that. That was Tran. Why get it?
No, it's just confirmation that Tran was accurate in what he said. Brother.
You are ranked number 25.
You were ranked number 25.
No, I mean, I know that. I'm just saying, I never said that was false. I said, why are we ranked 25?
Well, here's our chance to discuss. Where should you be ranked? Are you better than Tulane?
Here's the thing. I mean, Tulane won 11 games last year. I don't know.
And they beat USC.
Here's the thing. I don't want us to be ranked because if we go out there and perform on the field, this will take care of itself. We're in the SEC. It's that simple. But, all this does is give more, A&M failed again, blah, blah, blah. And name another 5-win team on here that's ranked. Exactly. We shouldn't be on there. Let us prove it on the field. Coaches polls just gives some, some of the people talk about debate, bring up headlines, but it's all irrelevant. So I said, talk to me in November. Then that's when the real, coaches poll, playoff poll, that's when it matters.
I think that the 25 hole is like, all right, who do we think the team is going to be that's going to be ranked in the, end of the year? And I think they projected A&M to be in that spot. So that's where they fell in.
They said do
y'all play Texas Tech?
Yeah, we play Texas Tech. We played them, I think, the last game of the season.
We played Texas Tech the last game. It's our last regular season Big 12 game. That Texas Tech game could be interesting because that also could be a determinant for either team for Arlington. So that game, by the way, has already been scheduled for 6:30 on that Friday, Black Friday. They've already put it in the time in.
I mentioned coaches that, players play higher than their ceilings for. Joey McGuire is one of them.
We owe Joey McGuire, though.
It's gonna be a little bit of a revenge game.
Yeah,
we definitely owe him. But I'm just saying, as a former player of his, there's this, I don't know, there's something charismatic about him that you do things that you didn't even know you could do in games sometimes when he's your coach.
I hear you, brother.
Y'all want to talk about the number 5
Who do you
team?
think?
Y'all don't want to talk about the number 5 team? You're doing all the talking about everybody
Really?
else. What about the number 5
Okay.
team?
All right.
I can't see.
Talk to me. I talk back, brother.
What do you think? I mean,
that's a high perch to fall from.
No, it is. It is. But I think that's just where we belong.
That's a good spot. I mean, you can't argue with the top 5.
Right. I think that's where we belong. I think we're in that top 10, regardless of how you want to dissect it.
I get the USC. I would honestly probably put USC at 10, to tell you the truth, just because the context of the losses that they had. They got their ass beat twice by Utah. Twice. Bad. And then they went to Tulane. I know Caleb Williams said, "Oh, we just didn't care about it." Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
They came in there and beat you.
Yeah.
Like you said, coaches polls don't matter preseason.
No,
it doesn't matter at all. But if you're being real about it, like, hey, they're still the highest ranked Pac. I guess they're still the Pac-12 team up there, even if they're at 10.
I mean, I think that overall, I think it's a pretty good. I mean, they're going to put Georgia, Michigan, and Alabama, and Ohio State, and then LSU. We always come in every couple years and get ours, and then get out. See y'all in a couple years. I mean, I think the national championships in New Orleans again are the semifinal is, and so we tend to play in New Orleans a lot. So whatever that means.
Yeah, but Billy, let's be real. You overachieved year 1 under Brian Kelly. You don't think that there's some type of sophomore slump? Real talk.
No, I just think it's too much. We're too good. It's gonna be a little too good. I just think that, even if we 10-2. I just think we got a good team. It's gonna be difficult not to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, just I don't know. I don't even like. We lost 4 games last year, so what's the slump? We're gonna lose 5? No chance. Like, I don't see that. I just don't. If it happens, I'll be shocked. But like, we didn't. It's not like we had.
And the 4th game you lost was the SEC championship. That's a
no, I agree. And so, but regardless, I think we're just kind of too good. Like, we have talent. Does that mean we win a natty? No, but I do think overall we have a really good team, and so it can be difficult not to be good. So,
I have a couple thoughts, fellas. I think South Carolina deserved to be ranked.
I agree.
And I think, when you consider the way they finished the year and the explosive manner, the way Shane Beamer is not only building that program, but the way Shane Beamer is recruiting. This is something we've been over at the SEC Connect. I think South Carolina's being slept on. They have a kid that's going to be nominated, up for Blitnikoff. They obviously, depending on how well Spencer Rattler progresses in year 2 there, if he can kind of pick up where he finished last season, and kind of rebuilding his draft stock, I think South Carolina should have been ranked, and I think they're probably a top 20 team to me. I think Oregon State's going to be really good, and I think that's a good situation for DJ to kind of rewrite his script and his story. I'm rooting for him over there, and I think that's a really good program that Jonathan Smith is running. I'm curious.
We took their dude, though.
What'd you say?
We took their middle linebacker.
Who? Oregon State?
Yeah, first team all conference. I mean,
he's
a big piece. But whatever. I mean, they can replace him. I actually am curious about Washington. If we're going to talk about the Pac-12, I'm curious. Can they, do they beat USC? Do they get over that? Are they they're interesting to me. Kind of a, could you see them running the table? Maybe. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but I feel like they're going to be pretty good. But then you never know.
Utah's going to play them tough. Oregon going to play them tough. I mean, they're still going to have tough out.
Seems like the Big Pac-12 got a bunch of good teams.
Bunch of good teams. I mean, even looking at this, and when you consider they had multiple 11-win teams in their conference. I mean, and teams that were double-digit wins last year, like Oregon State and Utah and Oregon's. Bo Nix is a Heisman candidate, right? Like, Michael Penix is a Heisman candidate. You can make an argument about just the quarterback play alone in the Pac-12, right?
Oh.
Cameron Rising at Utah, it seems like he's just been a staple there. And obviously the reigning Heisman winner, Caleb Williams at USC. Pac-12 is absolutely no joke as they come to an end. But this is a very, very interesting schedule. The team I'm looking at, though, I think that might slip out of this. Penn State. I know
they got that freshman quarterback, though, don't they?
Yeah. They have a freshman runner from last year who was really, really good.
Sophomores.
I don't know. Like, I guess my question about Penn State is, are they going to be the typical Penn State where they're kind of in that 9 to 10 win range and they lose a hard-fought game to Ohio State or Michigan, or are they actually going to beat one of those teams? Because if not, then we're kind of going to be in the same boat again with Michigan and Ohio State potentially at the end of the season like we were last year.
Well, I mean,
so
that's
kind of where
I mean, I don't know. I think they're probably I think they're in the fifth, 12 to 22, somewhere in there, I would say is where they need to be. I don't know. Maybe they're going to be. I don't know that much about Penn State, so I can't. I just know that the quarterback was a true freshman. He played. He got a lot of snaps, and that running back was a true freshman. And I think they had another sophomore runner. So I think the offense should be pretty good. Yeah, I think the offense.
Forgot about Allen. I forgot about Singleton is who I was thinking about.
Right.
But yeah, Singleton, because he went off early last year as a freshman. So yeah, I mean Penn State.
They're always good. I mean, yeah, you're right. Could be one of the teams that eliminate or whatever with Michigan, Ohio State. Can they become the burden? That's the question.
We also got to remember. Look, Ohio State. We know what Ryan Day has done there since he's been there, especially with the productivity he's gotten from the quarterback position every single year he's been the head coach. They are breaking in a new starting quarterback, right? And Kyle McCord was the backup there the last couple of years to CJ Stroud, so he knows it cold. And they got some talented freshmen in there as well. We know we were recruiting some of those guys, but we still haven't seen Kyle McCord play over the course of 12 games. The way Michigan has faith now in JJ McCarthy, right, who's a returning starter. So I think we got to kind of weigh those things there. Michigan's feeling there's a team that's coming back that's like we blew it last year. It's Michigan.
Yeah, they're good.
That whole group. That whole group's like we freaking blew it against TCU. And didn't take them seriously, and they got beat. So we got to see what Jim Harbaugh and that group is coming back with. Tran, BA. Oh, no, I'm about to sign us off, but what's good, Billy?
Well, if we're talking, I want to go Ohio State last year. I think where they lost to Michigan, maybe their other game, the front seven wasn't what it usually is. Is that front seven? I remember Michigan had the backup running back or whatever. The other guy got hurt and hit him for like 190 or something crazy, and the other dude had like 80. It was like, not normal, obviously. And I was curious if y'all know the front seven, if they're, I know some of them are young and they might have had an injury or two. I was just curious if y'all knew anything about it, because I think that's with the new quarterback. If you can have a defense that kind of runs the building early on, you can really bring him along how you want him to, especially I'm sure with their schedule. But I was just curious.
Even Houston said he's not even sold on JJ McCarthy. Damn. He was really good during the season. I know he was wild boy in the playoff game.
He had a moment.
We have to remember Michigan, to your point, Billy, Michigan is returning Blake Corum. And Blake Corum, there were people that were voting for him over Bijan for the dope. That wasn't us. But that just tells you how good Blake Corum was. And so their run game and their offensive line won the offensive line award last year. Michigan did. The question, you're right though, and I think that's the question that all these Ohio State fans are asking themselves this offseason is, what are we doing in the trenches? Because that's Michigan has closed the gap on Ohio State. 100%. That's where they've closed the gap. So TBD on that. Any other parting thoughts before we sign off? I know people haven't seen you guys in a while, but I'm glad we were able to get on here and do a live and say what's up to the people. First time trying to navigate this software, but a few hiccups here and there. But I'm glad we were able to get this thing off the ground. BA, how you feeling, man?
Oh, man, it's good to be back and just, chop it up with you boys again. I know we always got our chat going, but it's good to see your faces, especially Billy's mug. And also just, I know you hit on it earlier, but just prayers up for the Price family. I know TP had a profound impact on so many players at A&M, past and present. So, definitely prayers up for that. And just as a general, PSA, hey, if you're not feeling good, tell somebody, talk to somebody, please.
You guys are going to be on my heart the whole season, because it's not something you just get over in a few days or a few months. He was a calming presence through the season, especially kids to get away the way he would, some of the barbecue stories you guys shared with us of, hey, let's just get away from football for a little bit and talk life, right? Kids need that, and that will be missed throughout the season. So y'all will definitely be in our thoughts. Billy, closing thoughts.
Oh, I enjoy this. It's good to get out here and cut up and kind of. I kind of feel like when we sit down and do this, this is when the season actually kicks off a little bit for me. Kind of get into start looking at my roster and understanding where we're at, because we got a bunch of new faces that we loaded up on in some places. So, where they stand and learn about that and see how that kind of, comes to fruition for us. But, we still got pieces in place, and I expect a good year. So, thanks for having me again. And I love the chat. The chat's my favorite. I don't see our Georgia boy, though. I mean,
Surfer boy.
Surfer boy.
He still might be in the Bahamas.
Oh no, he hits us up every time they would. Don't worry about it. He hits it up every time.
He might have retired, bro. He bet on him the last 2 years, just took him outright, and he's loaded. So, he might be in the Bahamas retired or something.
Surfer Boy sends me a picture on Instagram in the DMs, I think like once every couple weeks, of Kirby just going like this. That's all he cares about. Is repeating.
I mean, shit, they have an easy.
Their schedule ain't tough.
Yeah.
Their schedule
needs to be in the SEC, championship game.
We have a Connor Johnson with the Oregon Beavers. Billy said he would take a SEC baseball only invite.
Yeah,
you know what, man, Connor, wherever you guys end up, man, best of luck, man. You guys have a heck of a football team this year, I'll tell you that. So go make some noise. That's all y'all can do. Shout out to Coach Smith. Y'all have a hell of a. You saw Oregon State rank 18th. So
yeah,
it sucks the way the business side of things went down, but Oregon State, man. I grew up with the Beavers, man, and y'all have always been a stable football program. So
Cooks brothers,
man, yeah, Big 12, go holler at them. Steven Jackson, Ken Simonton, Jonathan Smith, Chad Ochocinco. Man, look, that Oregon State was no joke, baby.
Who was the small running back they had? They were like brothers.
The Brooks brothers, right?
Cooks. It was Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. No, I know you're running back.
Dude was like 5'7",
but he was
Rogers.
Quiz.
Yeah.
Quiz. Oh, yeah. Rogers brothers. Yes, that's who it was.
Rogers. Yeah.
He said we sue it.
They're from Texas too. Weren't the Rogers brothers from Texas, like the Dallas area?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. There you go, Quiz and James.
Yeah.
Oh man, good job, Tran. Tran got that one. Quiz Rogers. Oh yeah, man. See,
boy said he was suing though. That's funny. I'll be after him too.
I appreciate it, Billy. Tran, I'll let you close, brother. What's on your heart?
No, I mean, I second and third their comments of this really kicks off the football season for me. I'm really excited. I think it's hilarious how you use us as the practice run for all the mistakes for the new software.
For the new software,
we'll get the shitty guys. we'll bust through it because no one's watching it anyway.
We'll save it for we'll have it ready for the 18.
Bring in the reserve.
Not for the SEC guys. Not for the SEC guys. These guys, they're fine. No one cares.
They don't care. They'll be fine. I'll still talk to them all the time.
Yeah, I'll talk to
them. Like, these guys, yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, man. It's great. It's great to be back, and I like for some strange reason, I just have a good feeling about this year for all of our teams, to tell you the truth. And I said that at the beginning. It's like I think regarding set aside health and everything like that, I think we're all poised to have a pretty strong showing. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to years to come. This is a chat that we have set up. I know I haven't been really active in it because I'm just out of control busy, but I appreciate y'all more than y'all know.
People are always looking for you, Tran, and the people are always thinking about you.
I'm around.
You know, they want to hear from you.
I'm around. Steven leaves the cage unlocked. All right. It's like I'm around.
Oh man. I will say, in the history of our collective friendship, this is the best I felt about our three teams collectively heading into the season at the same time. I will say that.
I agree.
I think the better our teams are, especially as we get later into the season and there's real stakes, there's real things to play for. It just makes it all the worthwhile. We watch ball every week, regardless. We watch all the teams, but when your team is good, when you and your friend's team is good, and and all of our teams are there, it makes it that much more meaningful. And I think it's going to be really, really cool just to see how our teams do before we head into the SEC next year. So, guys, thank you all for joining. I really, really, really appreciate it. And for everybody that was in the chat tonight, y'all are the lifeblood of this, and the energy. It gives us energy as we're here talking on camera and trying to give you guys our thoughts and trying to articulate things and put forth that. So we appreciate all the support for the channel. This thing's only going to continue to grow. As busy as we are in our personal lives, this stuff means something. It's a great mental escape for a lot of us. And like you said, I think Billy said it best. It officially kind of kicks off football season, and now we're officially there, right? So hit that like button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. You guys don't know what that does. There's a lot of great channels out there, a lot of competition out there. So when you subscribe, it helps us in the algorithm, helps put our platform out there for more people to see real football fans, real college football fans. So couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah, Steven, we shouldn't look at anyone as we shouldn't look at it as anyone as competition, man. Like
no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
It's amazing what this has started. Like just me looking at it from the outside, is the type of community you've built, helped build with the other creators, and it's awesome. So from a competition standpoint, we shouldn't even look at anything for competition like that.
That's a great point, Tran, and that's the spirit in which it should be in. And I appreciate you saying that, because it is a community that we're proud of, that it's become on YouTube.
There's a particular fellow friend of mine who said once, "A rising tide raises all ships," when I had gotten a promotion. So that's how I see it.
We don't talk about Alabama in this chat.
I'm not damn Alabama.
And with that, horns always up.